Hey everyone, welcome back, Psychopath1c here. Um, if my, video is freezing up, don't worry about it, it's just my computer is going through an update. Uh, but anyways, I figured, well, one of my all-time favorite films of the 90s, a film a lot of people hate, this film gets so much shit, and the reasons they give, I just don't get it. I thought the film was great, and that film is Night of the Scarecrow. Not to be confused with Dark Night of the Scarecrow, which was about a mentally handicapped man played by Larry Drake, who gets wrongly accused of abducting a little girl, and it turns out the little girl was safe and sound, but she was, I think, trapped, lost in the woods or something like that. But anyways, this is Night of the Scarecrow. Came out in 1995. Rated R for strong quarter violence, some sexuality, nudity should be included, and language. Special features not rated, of course. Um, I thought the I thought the picture quality on the DVD was excellent. No grain, pretty sharp picture. So Olive Films did a really fine job with this. Now, uh, for those who have never heard of Night of the Scarecrow, um, it's a low budget film directed by Jeff Burr. Most people will remember him as directing sequels like The Stepfather 2, Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. He did a film called The Offspring, which goes under another title. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But this was really his first real film that he got to direct. Um, that wasn't a sequel and wasn't really a reboot of anything. Like, it was its own movie. Um, what this is about, it's about this uh, farming town. I don't think it has a name. I don't remember. Uh, but the mayor, uh, pretty much, he's the father of our main character, Claire, played by Elizabeth Bordones. Um, I'm not sure what ethnicity that name would be, but oh well. Um, she was a good actor, and people complained about her acting, saying it was not believable, and the lines she was given was just terrible. I thought the lines were pretty good, except for the final line, like when she tries to be all badass. I didn't like that line, and I'll get to that. But anyways, this farming town, they grow crops and everything, and that's how they prosper, which is cool. I live in a not really a farming community, but I live in a state, Indiana, where there is a lot of corn, and I have never seen a real scarecrow in my entire life. Nope, never seen a real scarecrow. I know most people have probably seen scarecrows, but I've never seen one, and scarecrows don't scare me. Um, this movie creeps me out, but it doesn't scare me. Uh, and anyways, we get introduced to this guy by the name of Dylan. Dylan happens to work for the mayor. Uh, Mayor Goodman is the mayor's name, and he's Dylan seems like an alright guy, rough around the edges, but he seems alright. Uh, and he ends up taking a look at this woman, uh, Claire, and she introduces herself after he asks. well, what's your name? Are you from this town? And she's like, yeah, I was born here. And he's like, okay, Claire. Uh, after she says Claire to him, do you have a last name? And then her father ends up walking up to her and is like, Claire? And then she goes, hey, Dad. And then right before that, Dylan was talking a bunch of smack about Mayor Goodman. And then he looks back at Claire and is like, oh, I'm sorry. So you get kind of a little bit of humor in there. Not too much. It tries to be serious with what it has. Come on, it's a killer scarecrow, so you can't really be too serious, and it doesn't get too serious. Um, and uh, Dylan happens to get into a fight with this guy by the name of Danny. I think his name is. Doesn't say. But the guy who plays Dylan, I think his name is John Messe, or John Meese, however you pronounce his name. He did a fine job too. Um, and I thought every actor in this movie did their job. Uh, did their job well. Even the guy who played the Warlock and the guy who played the Scarecrow. Um, Two completely different actors playing the same part. Uh, One playing the human part, or however Warlock is human, um, and uh, the Scarecrow, who is the demonic version of the Warlock. I'll get to that. Um, Anyways, Danny is a complete asshole. He ends up taking Dylan's bulldozer, and he ends up drinking and everything. Takes Dylan's bulldozer, him and a friend. They end up going right through the cornfield, and they crash into a stone, like like pretty much a gravestone, and it's got like a cross on it, a crucifix, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't have Jesus on the cross, so not really a crucifix, but it's there, and they end up cracking it open, and then they're like, "Whoops." And I'm like, dumbasses. Plain out dumbasses. But you gotta have your dumbasses in there too. It's a slasher film. Supernatural slasher film at that. But anyways, they end up leaving, and then all of a sudden, the moon ends up going just right onto the grave. Lightning ends up shooting out and ends up shooting into the scarecrow, which I said when I unboxed this that it's not really a scarecrow, which I'll get to that. But the scarecrow comes to life, and pretty much he ends up killing off the Goodman family one by one. And in some, the first death, not really all that creative. Pitchfork to the wall, pretty much traps a guy, and he can't escape. And the weed lawnmower thing ends up pretty much cutting him to bits. You do see some of the bloodshed and some of the blades go into the dude's backs, which is pretty nice. Practical effects, so good job. Who played? Who made the effects? Doesn't say. Uh, I think K and B did the effects. I'm not positive. But anyways, the effects were good. I really enjoyed the effects. Uh, but anyways, what ends up happening? You get all these really creative deaths, and uh, one of the most famous scenes is Danny's in the middle of having sex with the Christian girl, uh, and he decides he's gonna go get a drink, uh, get himself a beer. Gets knocked out by the Scarecrow, and uh, the Scarecrow decides he's gonna get himself some, and he ends up taking a seed out of his fingers, and he ends up going like, "Swallow my seed," and shoves it right into the girl's mouth, and she pretty much gives birth to Hay. Now, as stupid as that sounds, it's actually a really cool scene. She gets dragged right into the ground, and Danny ends up waking up. He gets killed off screen, which I think for the budget they had, they could have at least shown him getting killed. Uh, it never even says how he gets killed, but uh, we get this scene where the preacher is in the church going over some things about the funeral over the guy who got killed by the lawnmower, and uh, he ends up getting his mouth sewn shut with hay, uh, which again, pretty damn cool. Uh, and the thing about this Scarecrow is he's always asking for a book, and you find out that uh, later on in the film that he was once a warlock. Uh, the Goodman family ended up making a deal with the warlock. The warlock could do whatever he wanted uh, if he gave crops that would always grow, always be in season, always the right type of crops. Well, the Goodman family at first was okay with it. Then the orgies end up starting, and the warlock ends up seducing one of the Goodman daughters. Okay. Uh, they end up taking the warlock out into the cornfields, performing a spell, and pretty much they dress him up in a burlap sack, in rags and everything, to look like a scarecrow. And the spell ends up pretty much melting his body away. So, like I said, it's not really a scarecrow. It's the warlock melted away, and they pretty much take his bones and put them in a box and put it under the grave. And uh, the lightning is pretty much his soul getting transferred into the uh, disembodied version of him. So now he's got his powers and he's looking like a badass scarecrow. And the voice is excellent. Howard Swain, I'm not sure if he did the voice of the scarecrow, but he played a damn cool scarecrow. Um, and you get a bunch of creative deaths. You get sewn mouths. Uh, you get pretty much a girl giving birth to hay. You get lawnmowers being taken into somebody's back and the blades ripping apart the guy. Again, it's implied. Um, you get your orgies. You get your nudity. For the guys who like nudity, it's in here. Really pornographic nudity, by the way. Which, truth be told, I'm not really into that kind of stuff in my horror movies. Like, I think the nudity should be on its own in a porno film, which to each their own. Um, but it's there. The acting is pretty damn awesome. I thought everybody did their job right. Um, uh, Bruce Glover plays the preacher. Thaddeus is his name. His death is really, really cool. He pretty much gets hay, which looks like barbed wire, wrapped around his head, and his inhaler shoved right into his throat, uh, and pretty much tied right into it. And his wife gets hay shoved all through her skin. Um, and I'm not going to go over all the deaths, but the deaths are pretty damn sweet. Uh, and I'm going to go over that horrendous line Elizabeth Bardones. What she ends up saying, she lights the, she lights a flare, puts it over gasoline, and she's like, here's a here's a little bit of fire, Scarecrow. And I'm like, really? Quoting the Wizard of Oz, really, really cliche, but okay, pretty terrible line. Um, but uh, no movie's perfect. I mean, there are some movies I consider perfect, but truth be told, no movie's perfect. Uh, John Carpenter's The Thing, I would consider that a perfect film. Uh, 10 out of 10 for me. Uh, I actually reviewed that, and I might have given it lower than 10 out of 10. I must have been doing something wrong at that time. Something must have been messing with my mind if I gave that lower than a 10 out of 10. So, yeah. Um, the ending, uh, the company, Paramount, and, I forget the other name of the company, uh, Renaissance Pictures, I think, wanted to make sequels out of this, and Jeff Burr was like, shouldn't we just focus on this one film? I'm not trying to make sequels out of this film. I just want to make my own film and have it done my own way, and have the support of the actors doing their job. Uh, and he wasn't an asshole about it, by the way. Uh, he was just saying, I don't want to make sequels out of this film. I want it to be a standalone film. So you do not get a sequel bait ending, which I really, really liked. Uh, so there's that. It wasn't trying to be the next Jason or Freddy or the next big franchise. It was its own film. And with that said, I really, really enjoyed the film. For those who are the least bit interested, who grew up on 90s films and 80s films, uh, check it out. Uh, for those who go for the 2000s films, I like some of the 2000s films, like I say in some of my videos, but most of them are Hollywood shit that gets shoved down our throat. Uh, I support low budget films, mostly. There are far worse films out there. There's Feeders 1 and 2. There's Blood Sucking Freaks, which I reviewed that and I did not like it. I think I gave it a 1 out of 10, and that was. Actually, I think I gave it a 0 out of 10 because I didn't find anything redeeming about that movie. Um, there's Freak, I think it's called Freak. Um, something else. Frightmare. Oh, I don't even know why I said Freak. Frightmare from 2000. That movie was straight up terrible. It was my first rant I ever did on my channel. You can check it out. Just type in Psychopath1, uh, uh, Frightmare, and you'll find it. And I put in bold letters, this movie sucks. But this movie rocks. Night of the Scarecrow, in my eyes, rocks. So, what do I give Night of the Scarecrow? It's a childhood favorite of mine. Uh, I can't help but love this film, so I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Uh, Nobody's gonna change my opinion. To each their own. Uh, if you don't like it, that's cool. If you like it, that's cool too. I'm not gonna judge a person if they don't like a film that I happen to like, and vice versa. I'm not gonna judge a person for liking a film that I don't like, but they do. Like, if a person likes torture porn, so be it. I'm not a big fan of torture porn. I'm not a fan of torture porn, period. Saw 2 was the only Saw film I liked because it wasn't really torture. Uh, and if anybody's wondering about the special features, you get interviews with cast and crew, which is 3 minutes long. You get a still gallery with music and commentary by director Jeff Burr, which totals in 8 minutes. A feature-length audio commentary by director Jeff Burr. I haven't listened to the commentary for the film. Uh, I'll eventually listen to that at some point. But anyways, that's my review over Night of the Scarecrow. This will show the disc. Not really anything special, it's just the cover, but a close-up of the Scarecrow. Um, I thought the Warlock was a really scary, not really scary, but a really creepy villain. Uh, Pretty much not a villain you want to fuck with. And that's how I like my villains. Uh, the only villain I really cared for was Jason, because in reality, he's not really a villain. Uh, he's a slasher icon that you kind of feel sorry for. He was killed, and the counselors weren't watching him. So, he comes back for revenge. So, I support Jason. Jason is my all-time favorite slasher icon. Uh, I would eventually like to get an authentic Jason mask, like roughly one from Friday the 13th Part 3, or the one from Friday the 13th Part 7. So, anyways, enough about Friday the 13th, and enough about Night of the Scarecrow. Hopefully you all enjoyed my review over this, and uh, I love the line that Scarecrow keeps saying throughout the film, "Where's my book?" I loved the way the voice actor said it. Uh, and this Scarecrow doesn't have one-liners. So if you're going in this expecting a killer with one-liners, you're not going to get it. If you want a Scarecrow film with one-liners, check out Scarecrow from 2003. Not really the greatest film, but I couldn't help but like it. So, anyways, that's my review over Night of the Scarecrow from 1995. Uh, this is my, this is Psychopathic1 signing off. Hopefully you all enjoy. I'm out. Peace.